We told you last month Metro solved the 32-year-old murder of Stephanie Isaacson, an El Dorado High School freshman who was abducted on her way to school, sexually assaulted, and then beaten to death.
Yeah, and now we are taking you behind the scenes of just how this case was solved in an unusual partnership on how private donations could drive future cases. Here's Fox 5's John Huck with this special report.
Solving Stephanie Isaacson's murder was a partnership between Metro.
I can't imagine the grief that family has gone through over the last 30 years.
A Las Vegas philanthropist.
Glad to give the mother a little bit of closure.
And the CEO of a Texas laboratory.
Some of these cases are very old, but the families never forget. They're always looking for their loved ones. The parents of Stephanie wanted to know what happened to Stephanie.
David Middleman's Othram Labs' sole mission is to solve cold cases. Its crowdfunding website, DNA Solves, highlights unsolvable cases around the country, including Stephanie's. And it caught the attention of Justin Wu, the founder of Vegas Helps.
What we try to do is fund things around about $500 price point. So these requests can be anything in terms of like food. There's some people that had like some kind of car problems. Some people have like a baby that's coming up and they don't have enough resources. So we'll send them kind of a baby care package with diapers, clothing, toys, and stuff for like a newborn baby. So it's kind of on a case by case basis, trying to just kind of share some positivity in people's lives in the Vegas community. We were first talking with the company Othram, who did the DNA testing about 7 months ago. And we said that we would be very interested in having Othram do a case that was in Las Vegas if they could work with LV Metro PD to find one.
He was really interested in our technology, and he's made the offer to help work some of the cases that have remained unsolved.
I donated directly to the laboratory itself, to Othram. It was about $5,000, and that's the amount that they usually do to solve one of these cases.
Without this type of funding, this case would have never been solved.
Metro provided Othram the very last remains of DNA evidence. Othram built a genetic profile of the killer from just 15 human cells, testing hundreds of thousands of markers, far more than what a police lab could do. This was likely the last shot anyone would have at solving the case.
One thing everyone needs to know is that when you test DNA, you're consuming it, you're destroying it, and you don't get the DNA back if you don't get an answer. So up front, we were a little bit nervous just because we were working with what was probably the last of the evidence in this case.
Was this a case that could have been solved a couple of years ago, or did the technology have to kind of catch up to the circumstances of Stephanie's case?
This really is a case that just needed a breakthrough in technology to be successfully worked. It's only been in the last year or two that the technology has been sensitive enough and suitable enough to work with such challenging evidence.
The genetic profile gave Metro cold case detectives the leads they needed to connect Stephanie's murder to a guy who had killed himself 6 years after her death. Stephanie's killer escaped justice, but Middleman hopes the improved technology will close the net on others.
This case demonstrates that even in the cases where there's very little DNA left, there's still an opportunity to unlock vital leads that would help law enforcement crack the case.
That opportunity often paid for by local law enforcement and federal grants, but also by people like Justin Wu, whose generosity just brought answers, if not closure, for Stephanie Isaacson's family.
These people are waiting, and they may be waiting 20, 30, or 40 years, but they're still waiting. What we've learned is that in each one of these cases we've worked, there's almost always been someone that's waiting for these decades to get an answer.
John Huck, Fox 5 News, local Las Vegas.
If you would like to learn more about how you can donate to help solve other cold cases, you can donate to the LVMPD Foundation and specify the money go to cold cases or to DNA Solves. We have links to both of those sites, as well as Justin Wu's organization, Vegas Helps, on our website, fox5vegas.com.